Okay, Frank Lampard is the favourite to take over at Derby County. He's now in advanced talks. This was reported over the. I was at work earlier and I heard it on the sports news on the radio. He's in advanced stages in talks. He's been on the list. He was in the top I think he was part of like 20 candidates who applied for the role after Gary Rowett left. Um, he's been the bookie's favourite from the beginning. It's a badly kept secret that he's been linked with the job since the end of the season. He's been seen at Derby County games with his dad. He's been. It's known that he's having discussions through his agent. The concern I have is that Derby County's ownership. The owner is not the most stable owner. That I do know. There is some concerns about the ownership and things going on behind the scenes. However, for Derby County to get Frank Lampard, that it creates interest in Derby. And Frank Lampard, if he wants to get into management, he's got to start somewhere. Same with Gerrard. And I was a bit concerned about Gerrard going to Rangers and the expectation that Gerrard will have. But the positive of Gerrard going there, it creates interest. Plus, he has links with Liverpool. And he was a youth coach there, and he's done very well as a youth coach. He can probably he's apparently very good at scouting players. Gerrard is probably has been in contact with with Liverpool's permission to take some of those youth players, those under 21s, those squad players on the fringe, to Rangers on year-long season loans or free transfers or reduced transfers. I think Frank Lampard with Chelsea will probably be doing the same, signing some players cheaply, in a good sense, and taking some of the youth players that he's probably either played with at Chelsea or has seen through the youth academy when they do their joint training sessions and things like that. He has to start somewhere. It will create interest in Derby County and the Championship, and it will turn heads and it will focus some attention on some of the lesser clubs in British football or outside the Premier League, because the Premier League is too Premier League centric in football in the UK. It's too Premier League biased in the media. This creates, gets some attention in another league, another club who have been in the Premier League before, and I think they want to right the wrongs of that 11-point season. Just over a decade ago, about 10, 12 years ago. I think they want to right the wrongs of having that awful record. They want to do better. They want to get back to the Premier League. They've been a Premier League club several times before. They've been in the top levels of English football, the top two divisions for most of their history. I think with the history of Brian Clough and winning the title all those years ago in the 60s and being a very, very good side, they want to get back to that. And for Frank Lampard, he wants to get into management, and I don't see a problem with him getting his first job at a lower level. Gerrard has had some coaching experience. Lampard, I'm not so sure about his coaching history. He may have had some experience at Chelsea. He's obviously got his coaching badges, so that's a good thing. Otherwise he wouldn't be considered for the job. But one thing I do hope with both Gerrard and Lampard is if they're given time, to learn at the top level to manage. I will say this. A cautionary word. Great players do not necessarily make great managers. Jurgen Klopp was an average player at Mainz. Played most of his career outside the Bundesliga. He's actually a pretty decent manager. Great players do not necessarily make great managers. Sometimes they do. Look at Guardiola. I'm still not 100% sold on Guardiola because he's never had to coach on a budget. He's always had money. He's always been at a big club. Same with Mourinho. He's mostly had money and been at big clubs. On certain levels of management. They've got to start somewhere. I think Derby's a good project for Frank. I think he could possibly get some of these young or squad Chelsea players on the fringe or players that he's played with before and on free transfers and on loans and go to the transfer market. He's on a budget. He's not going to have a lot of money, even for Championship standards. And I'm thinking he can pick up quite a few players quite affordably, quite cheaply, and he can build a squad that will have youth and pace in it. Same with Gerrard. I can see very good parallels here. They're both roughly the same age. They're in their mid to late 30s. They both played at the same time against each other at club football, with each other at international football. It's a good little story watching these two guys go. I want to see. I do believe Frank Lampard's going to get the job. I think Derby County fans will get behind him. And obviously in time he obviously wants to coach either West Ham or Chelsea, his boyhood club or the club that he had all the success with. I think that's where Frank Lampard wants to end up in 5-10 years' time, is either going to West Ham or Chelsea to coach. The club that gave him his chance and the club that made him a better player. His boyhood club that he supported, that his father played for, and he also, played for Chelsea, won all those titles and trophies at Chelsea. That I think is his goal, is to give back to the clubs that gave him so much. But he's got to start somewhere. Derby is a good place to start. If he gets them back into the Premier League, that will be pretty top dollar. But I want to hear from Derby fans what you guys think on the whole Frank Lampard link with the job, because the fans have to have some input, I believe, every stage of a managerial appointment. They should get fan involvement, because some of the managerial appointments and sackings we've had make no sense to me over the last 18 months. But I want to hear what Derby fans think, what their views are, and place your comments below. I'll have some more videos for you soon. Please like and subscribe. They are your friends, and see you soon.